Hey y'all, today we are making some super easy and delicious chocolate syrup. Okay, so this is going to be the chocolate syrup that you use like on your ice cream or in chocolate milk or, those kind of things. So, what we're going to do is add to a heavy bottomed pot because it's going to maintain the temperature better. 1 cup of water, and then we're going to add 1.5 cups of sugar. Now, don't freak out. If you are diabetic or if you are just watching your sugar or whatever the case is, you can use a sugar substitute that swaps 1-to-1 for sugar, or you can also use honey or maple syrup, okay? So then you're going to add in 1 cup of cocoa powder and a pinch of salt. Just a little bit, just a little pinch of salt. I know y'all see them little legs running around. I had my grandkids when I was making this. I thought that would be the perfect time to make chocolate syrup, when you've got some little testers in the house, So you're just going to add that all in there and then whisk it up really good until you get it all good and combined. And cocoa powder is going to feel like it is never going to mix in. But just keep going. It will, I promise, as you can see here on the screen. So anyway, like I said, you can definitely change out the sweetener that you use in here, but you can also change out the cocoa powder. I like a milder cocoa flavor, like a milder chocolate flavor. But if you are a fan of like the dark chocolate syrup, then you can absolutely use like a Dutch processed, cocoa powder that's much richer if you want to do that. And I did say heavy bottom pot because, like I said, it's going to maintain the temperature better and you're less likely to scorch it and boil it over and all that kind of stuff than if you were using a pot that is super thin, So, and trust me, I do know that from experience. Okay, I know that from experience, but a lot of times, especially when you're working with sugar and stuff, you don't want it to burn. You don't want to scorch it, to burn your sugar or the chocolate either for that matter, because that would be really bad. So you're just going to whisk this, like I said, until you get it all nice and combined. And don't worry about what gets stuck on the sides. It's going to happen. It is what it is. But you want to make sure that when you heat this, I have it on a medium heat. That's why you see my burner keep coming on and going off. My burners will not maintain heat on this stove. It drives me crazy. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But you want to heat this up slowly, okay? Because we want to make sure that the sugar melts in there, because you don't want to end up with a grainy texture in your chocolate syrup. So slowly bring it up to a boil, like I said, on about a medium heat. And then once it starts to boil, and it's going to go crazy, I really needed a bigger pot for this. And I know some of y'all are going to fuss because I'm using a smaller pot on that bigger burner. But, I have to work with what I have. So you can see that it is starting to really foam and bubble. And what you have to do, once you get it, let me just explain this. Once you get it to a boil, you need to cut it down to a simmer and then just simmer this, okay, for about 3 to 5 minutes. I say 4 minutes because that's right in the middle. That's the way I do mine. But because my burner did not want to act right, I had to pick it up just to let it cool down just a touch. And you don't have to continuously stir this necessarily, but because my pot was smaller, I kind of needed to keep it from, bubbling over. So this is what it's going to look like. This is when I got it, the fire under control, when I got the heat under control. And like I said, you can see on the sides, I've got chocolate that was up there from it foaming so high and stuff. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. So once your chocolate is all done, once your 4 minutes is up, you're going to put it into, we're going to add some vanilla. I almost forgot the vanilla. So you're going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, that's the last step, but you want to make sure you do that after you pull it off the heat, because most of the time these extracts have alcohol in them and they'll bubble like crazy. So just to be on the safe side, remove it from the heat and then add your vanilla. So now we're going to put it into a jar. Now this ended up making It made about 2.5 cups of chocolate syrup. And as you can see, it is super, super thin and kind of watery right now. That's because it's hot. I promise you, when it cools down after, and then you put it in the refrigerator and everything, it's going to thicken up like the syrup that you buy at the store. And like I said, about 2.5 cups. So I put 2 cups in this jar. This is a pint jar. And then I needed some more room, which, that's fine. It's whatever. So I had a little 8-ounce jar, a little half-pint jar, and I'm just going to pour what I have left into this smaller jar. It doesn't look like a pint jar because, I ordered with like my grocery pickup 8-ounce jars, and they sent me these little short, fat ones instead of the taller, slimmer ones. I mean, it's a jar. It's whatever. But just in case the size is throwing anybody off. But you're just going to pour that into your jars. Then you're going to want to let this cool to room temperature, or at least pretty close to room temperature. Now, this is how you can kind of check too. Well, not check, but I wanted to show y'all. See how thick it just kind of hangs on? It drips off, but it also coats the spoon. Perfect consistency. You don't want to go much more than the time that you have on there trying to thicken it up. Does that make sense? I'm trying to say the time you spend cooking it, you don't want to cook it longer thinking it's going to thicken up. Okay, because sugar can crystallize, you can burn the chocolate. So just trust that it's going to thicken up. See, now this is after it has been in the refrigerator. See how thick it's gotten, just like the store-bought stuff. So I just mixed it up a little bit in the jar, and then of course y'all saw that my grandkids are here, so they were my taste testers, and they loved it, by the way. So good to go. But you just put however much chocolate you want in your milk or your whatever you're putting your chocolate on, over your ice cream or whatever. Mix it in good, and it's good to go. It tastes better than the store-bought stuff, if I do say so myself. And we know exactly what we put in it. So that's always a plus too. And like I said, you can adjust this to make it sugar-free or, half the sugar or whatever the case is, whatever richness of chocolate that you want in your chocolate syrup. But yeah, we made like chocolate milk powder on the channel a while back. But I also wanted y'all to have the option of a chocolate syrup if you wanted it, like for your ice cream or whatever. So this will last y'all about a month in the refrigerator, sealed in your jar. All right, that is all that I have for y'all today, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.